here. There goes my 5 minutes. Okay, so first of all, really enjoying being in Mozambique. First time in my life to be here. Always wanted to come. Great weather, by the way. There's been a lot said about access, but I wanted to include another perspective, which I think is essential in this conversation. Appropriation. We've been doing quite a lot of work in Zambia to do with access, and sometimes we think that women shouldn't. Some of the worst things that have ever happened to women have been because they accessed connectivity, and I think we've heard some of the stories. Some of the most pervasive forms of crimes against women have been happening online, using social media, using email, etc. Because the internet or cyberspace is just another space on which we exist. It is somewhat a carbon copy of life here on physical space. So the pervasive forms of abuse against women also exist in cyberspace. And when we consider access, we should also consider that the rights that we struggle for here should also be the same rights that we consistently look towards in cyberspace when we consider access for women. This is why I think we need to also consider appropriation when we discuss access. So I'll give you a few examples of appropriation. And this is because I think deliberate use of internet social media, internet spaces, is essential. And access itself for women should include a certain level of consciousness and understanding of the needs of women. On this presentation, what you see is 3 websites. 3 websites, and I will explain what's going on there with 5 concepts. The first is subordination or acceptance, a passive state. The second will be active observation. Third, self-reflection. Fourth, social capital. And fifth, change. These are the concepts that I will be discussing as you look at this space. On your bottom left, what you see there is a number of postage stamp images. Each one of those is a video on YouTube that was produced by young women who've hardly completed their high school. And they come from one of the most poor communities in Lusaka, the capital city of Zambia. What we did is that we reasoned that women who come from underprivileged communities like that one hardly have any voice within the community in which they live. Not only is the entire community completely excluded because they're extremely poor, they fail to access basic benefits such as running water on the tap. They don't have a clinic, they don't have a school, they don't have a hospital. They essentially have nothing close by. What more the young women in that area? Inaccessibility is more perverse within that community, but also extreme forms of violence against women that you can never even imagine. Women, young girls getting married at 12 is a normal occurrence. Early pregnancy, and all sorts of other vices. So we gave these young women mobile phones. That thing will have to be touched again. Each one of these mobile phones cost about 1,000 kwacha. I don't know what that is in dollars now because the rate keeps skyrocketing.
$100.
And gave them It's how much?
$100.
It's about $100. These phones were internet enabled, and we gave them basic training in use of these phones to make stories about their environment. What they did with these mobile phones is that they told stories about the communities within which they live. These stories are some of the never before heard stories about this community, because sometimes even the police can't walk in there because of the violence. What happened when they told these stories is that we started sharing these stories on Facebook pages. We created 150 Facebook pages. Each one of the 150 Facebook pages representing a parliamentary constituency, which is led by a member of parliament. So their specific area, their photos, their images are being shared on their specific parliamentary constituency page. The result is that the MP now sees reports about this area that he himself cannot go to because it's too busy or it's too fast. Effective use of communication by a community that was completely, a blank space. There's no map that shows their area. All of a sudden, things have started happening in that community because the problems in that community are now clear to more than 1,000 people and are open to the entire universe to be seen. And this is happening across all those 150 pages. Essentially, what we did is that these young women were in a state of passive acceptance of the unfairness and the abuse. The training that they underwent brought them to a certain level of critical consciousness where they became aware of their role within the environment in which they live. Use of the mobile phone gave them the capacity to observe their environment and share their environment with the world. After they shared what was going on within their environment, they then gained a lot of social capital from various sectors, civil society organizations, their own members of parliament, their councillors, etc. And that has resulted in change. Now, my presentation is about appropriation. And I will really end here with these few words. Access itself is not sufficient. There has to be a certain level of conscious awareness of the context within which this access is going to be implemented, and the people themselves need to be involved in this. It's not just a matter of here you are, here are the tools, here's the internet, etc. There's need to understand the context within which this access is taking place. The second level is that the communities themselves should be able to use those tools to produce the content that is relevant to themselves so that they can achieve the gains that they need. Otherwise, what we just have is a society of consumers, people who are just passive recipients of technological tools that are essentially converting them into customers and nothing more. Thank you.